the Lizard Man.
I will tear your flesh.
So it's a goer.
Round 1. Fight!
A legendary martial arts bloodbath returns for round 10 in Mortal Kombat X. That's coming up next on JO42 Reviews. I can remember the first time I discovered Mortal Kombat. It was my 10th birthday, and me and some of my friends had gotten together at McDivitt's Miniature Golf in Roswell, Georgia. My friend Tom wandered off from the group, and when I found him, he was in the arcade playing a game that was wholly unknown to me at the time. I was, like many 10-year-olds my age, stunned by this new concept that was Mortal Kombat. Blood gushed from every wound after even the slightest punch, and when Tom used Sub-Zero to rip Kano's head off, taking the spine with it and leaving a dripping trail of blood in its wake, I, like every 10-year-old, was hooked. I loved Mortal Kombat. I thought it was absolutely disgusting, wonderfully grotesque, and a joy to play. It was actually the game that got me into appreciating fighters. The only other two fighting games I had really played up until that point were Street Fighter II and Tongue of the Fat Man. I know this is going to sound like blasphemy, but I have absolutely no appreciation for Street Fighter II. I think it is a horribly made game. The controls are completely counterintuitive, and it has always and will always be a teeth-grinding frustration for me to play. Tongue of the Fat Man, on the other hand, was not a very good game, but it was kind of weird and just appealing in a bizarre, surrealistic sense. But Mortal Kombat was intuitive. Mortal Kombat made sense. If you wanted to deliver an uppercut, you held down and then pressed high punch. Makes perfect sense. Performing an uppercut in Street Fighter II, on the other hand, is slightly more complicated than entering the Konami code. So yeah, I was big into Mortal Kombat as a kid. I think the concept was best delivered in the SNES version of MK2 and the PC version of MK3. When the series received a reboot call of sorts with 2011's update, I was pleased to see that the classic gameplay had been preserved and enhanced with an effective cinematic modern veneer. As such, I assumed that the next-gen follow-up, Mortal Kombat X, would maintain the same high quality. While I wasn't disappointed by the production at all, I found it to be more than a little stale. We've been down this road plenty of times, and while the pavement has been superbly maintained, the scenery is rather old and predictable. That classic game from a quarter century ago is still in there, perfectly preserved like a well-varnished antique chair, but it's buried beneath layer upon layer of novelty add-on features and intricate selection menus. Once I finally made it through the seemingly endless info screens, I played through the traditional ladder game on the medium difficulty with Sub-Zero, then tried it on hard with Scorpion, Johnny Cage, and a few others. It's the same game, and it's a good game, but that's about it. Video games have undergone a seismic shift in their depth and maturity since the inception of Mortal Kombat back in the day, and rehashing it for the umpteen millionth time just doesn't provide very much satisfaction. I literally sat down for the first match and thought, down forward punch, down forward punch, down forward punch, Sub-Zero wins. Part of me wants to say that it's just me finally outgrowing Mortal Kombat in my middle 30s, but Tetris has been out longer than that, and I can still play it for hours. As good a game as Mortal Kombat was, there ultimately just wasn't very much to it. Classic franchises that have survived have found ways to expand upon their core concept, a stunning example of which is Fallout, where the series went from an isometric role-playing format to a fully immersive three-dimensional environment. Mortal Kombat doesn't really open itself up to that sort of innovation, so it's kind of a well that's finally running dry. The story mode in Mortal Kombat X is a steaming pile of who gives a shit, and therein lies what I think is my main source of ennui with this ongoing franchise. This is a story being rehashed from an era when the plot of video games was, at best, a short paragraph next to the joystick on the arcade cabinet. Trying to expound upon this asinine story about how the rulers of other dimensions converge to determine control of Earthrealm through a martial arts fight to the death is about as fruitful as trying to adapt Green Eggs and Ham into an epic miniseries. The whole thing was just a throwaway premise to push the boundaries of good taste with gallons of blood flying in every direction. Well, it's been 23 years since that birthday party where I first discovered the original Mortal Kombat, and in that amount of time, gratuitous blood and gore have become an afterthought in game design. Despite being a series widely celebrated for its outstanding gameplay, the ultimate selling point for Mortal Kombat was and will always be the over-the-top, gut-splattering violence, and that has not been a novel concept for a very long time. I never thought I'd say it, but thumbs down.
If you enjoyed this commentary, please help me continue to bring you more content by making a donation to patreon.com/JordanOwen42. Your contribution will help me turn this channel into a hub of libertarian pop culture discussion and current events commentary. Thank you for listening, and as always, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already.